Wondering how your mindset affects your life? How to bring more energy into your business and life? Millions of people around the world ask these same questions daily. You are in the right place. Learn practices that will help give your life the meaning and success you've been searching for. Welcome to the Charge Podcast, teaching you how to create habits around real goals every day. Practical life advice from those who made it. Here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
When running a small business, you face new challenges every day. There are so many distractions during the daily grind. You feel overwhelmed and frustrated. Everyone should have the ability to reach their full potential in business and life. The Ascend Mastermind Peer Advisory Board will give you access to other like-minded individuals to share your challenges with and hold you accountable. It will help you move from stagnant to growth and give you more freedom in your business and life. Each quarter, we'll tackle a new area of the positive culture blueprint: health, connections, wealth, and even contributions. Imagine your business growing without you being stuck in the day-to-day operations. Imagine your next family vacation and you're fully present. Imagine having the freedom and flexibility you desired when you became a business owner. It's time to move from your imagined future and turn it into reality. You can have it all: a profitable business, impactful relationships, and even family time. So go to thechargepodcast.com and click on the link for your free discovery call to see if you qualify for the Ascend Mastermind today. Welcome, Chargers. We're glad to have you back again today for another great podcast. You know, we've had a really great lineup of guests in this second quarter, and we're going to keep it going today because I've got another great guest for you. But before we really get into that, I want you to think about charge, create habits around real goals every day. What do you need to start doing in your business to have that success, to create that significance that you want each and every day? So I want you to give you some of that thought, and we're going to have some conversation around that. But I've got a great guest with us, and his name is Russell, and I'll give you the rest a little bit later. But Russell, would you share with them what problem will you solve for our listeners today?
Well, there's a whole bunch of problems I can solve, but my expertise are really in that pipeline space for business. There's the gap between marketing and sales, how to attract the ideal clients for business, but also in life, just sort of deciding what you want.
That is going to be fun because we can talk about marketing and sales. We love that side of it, but it's also what do they really want to get out of the business? If there was 3 questions that you're going to answer for the audience today, what would you tell me those questions are that you're going to be able to answer for our listeners today?
Well, I'd love you to ask me any question you like, but at the end of the day, the questions I answer the most are around how do I actually make that connection to those ideal clients? What sort of business can I have? And at the end of the day, like, what do I need to do to get it?
Okay. Get those clients. Super. This is going to be a fun one because all of us in business are looking for that. And we have a lot of business owners that listen to this podcast. So this is going to be a fun conversation. Our next guest is Russell Pearson. He's a business strategist, designer, podcast host, keynote speaker, and a blacksmith. Whether stalking the big stage, going global from his private studio, or rocking a comedy club, he brings passion, humor, and insight to every discussion. For over 25 years, he's been working with passionate yet frustrated business people to transform the way they grow their organizations. He's an award-winning business owner, founder of the Forge Business Program, host of the Marketing Report podcast, past national president of the Professional Speakers in Australia, and father of 3 feisty children. Please join me in welcoming Russell Pearson. Glad to have you on, Russell. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having me here.
Well, we're going to talk some about that business and marketing side of it. But one of the things that a lot of people have struggles with, and you know, I've had it in my business, and we all do, is really understanding that difference of really how to capture the ideal clients that we're trying to get and those connections that we really want to have and do business with. So share with us some of your thoughts behind that.
Yeah, the ideas have really come out of the last 25 years of the work that I do in this space, because for the last 25 years, it's promotion, sales, and marketing all day long. But even running my own business, I realized that I'd been chasing early days this thing that was very much like the American dream. It's the Australian dream. It's the same thing, just without the picket fence. And it's the idea of really chasing someone else's dream. Like this is a thing that's been handed to you or made up to you. So really the key to having ideal clients and clients that you actually love working with that give you a business that you love is deciding what sort of clients you love. I know that might sound super easy, but there are so many business people out there just trying to get any clients, and they'll take what comes. And people are telling me that referrals are the best way to get clients, but in actual fact, that's someone else making a decision about who you should be working with.
Yeah, that's interesting, because the challenge is, of course, then you have people that you're taking on and you almost feel obligated to those clients.
100%. And if you get a referral from someone that you don't love, if you get a referral from what I call a D-type client, guess what? You get more D-type clients because they hunt in packs.
Yeah. And then you get more and more of those.
That's right. And you can really, people talk about living your life not on purpose. That very much can happen in the business too, especially when the business is giving you money, which is giving you the things that you need to do to support your family and 100 other things. There's an obligation to take that cash. And that obligation really gets in the way of building a business that gives you the energy that you want.
Yeah, that becomes a real challenge, because then, of course, you lose that energy. We don't have those right clients. But you're talking about kind of really creating then in the business, what is that real ideal client you want in the business?
And in early days, like it used to be, the target market, the center of the bullseye was this perfect avatar, and you'd know their demographics, you'd know their strengths, their flaws, where they lived, what they liked, what they didn't like, all those things. And that is important. Like it's important to know that. But even just down to a sector. So I've done some work in some sectors where I thought these people would be amazing. And people are people, individuals in them can actually be fantastic. But what you tend to find, even in industries or business sectors, is that there is a certain type of person or a certain type of culture that gets attracted to that. And if 90% of the people in that space are not a culture you want to live in, then fish somewhere else. Because I've found some amazing industries that have got fantastic cash flow, that have the money that they need, have the problem I can solve. But I found very simple things like they just wouldn't show up to phone calls because that was the culture of the industry, or they preferred to look at this thing when I'm looking at that. My values were not in alignment. So understanding who you want to work with is tough, because if you've never worked with them before, how do you really know?
Right. Yeah, that creates a real challenge. Instead, what you're saying is look in yourself. What type of individual do you want to really work with, and gives you energy, really, is what we're talking about.
Yeah, and the coolest thing about that, and that's something that I did after selling the production side of my marketing business. I really started designing my business on purpose at that point in my life, was to understand that if I just looked at me, understand the things that I love, the things that I love to hate, where I want to create change, where is the mission going to be, that if I brought that into my marketing, if I brought that into my conversation, if I brought that into my vernacular, that I would actually start attracting people who had a similar value set to me. I would actually start attracting people who aligned to the message I was putting out there. And guess what? I didn't have to pretend to be someone else. I just had to be more me.
Yeah.
Magic.
You're able to be authentic to who you truly are.
Yeah. And it's funny because that word authentic, it gets thrown around. Like, how do you be your authentic self? It's interesting because I'm a little bit cynical of Simon, the Simon Sinek's why, starting with why. I'm a little cynical of that because it tends to be this manufactured why that actually has a judgment behind whether it's a good why or a bad why. And I think authenticity gets judgment on it as well, which is like, are you being your authentic self within my area of ethics or aligning to my value system or aligning? So people judge people, this person's being very authentic or this person's not. The reality is understanding who you are. And that's a tough thing in itself, isn't it? I mean, it's incredible. I remember being told when I started my business that starting my business and building a business would be the best personal and professional development thing I would ever do.
Yeah.
But isn't it true, Gary? Like you go through like a decade and then suddenly realize, oh, I'm that person. This is who I am. And once you understand who you are, it's so much easier to work out who you want to work with.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. So how does someone, they kind of know who they are, but how do they start really applying those principles? Because for a lot of us, we're chasing that next client. How do we start to make that change in our business? Because a lot of people already are in their business to be able to start to make that change, to be able to apply those principles so they can find that client that they want to deal with.
It's a moving vehicle. So if you're running a business, you can't just pull it over the side of the road and stop it and just think about things for the next 2 years.
Right.
So you've got to, there's an adapt. And I think over the last 2 years in particular, people have learned to adapt or die. So I think we're starting to get reasonable at adapting. But the key, there's actually two sides to this coin. One is, yes, I need to understand who I am. Therefore, I can reflect that out in the world and attract the right people. But on the other side, I need to be disciplined enough to do the things that need to happen to have consistency in that. And so I'm going to start with the consistent side first, because this is actually how you attract and then convert clients, is that you need to be connecting with people. If you're not connecting with people on, if not a daily basis, on a weekly basis, I would suggest a daily basis though, connecting with people who you suspect are in the right space for the people you want to work with, then you're not going to get opportunity. The opportunity is not going to flow through your business. It's the equivalent of getting like a bag of blood at the hospital. Like if that blood flow is not coming in, then you're spending it out the other side. And so those connections become so crucial. And when I talk to a business that's been struggling for a little bit, and let's say they've been in business for a while, I often the lowest hanging fruit is, have you called your customers lately? And they'll say, no, I haven't spoken to anyone in 2 years. And it's like, all right, well, there's number one. We can reconnect with those people who are already there. But connecting with new people is so important. And understanding then what is the process for connection. I connect with them, and then I can get to know. So it's know, like, trust, right? I get to know not just that they know me, that I know them. Are they people I want to work with? Are they qualified? Do they fit into a category for me where they may have problems I can solve? And finally, like, is there a priority for us to work together now? Because if there's not, let's not have that sales conversation now, because we might burn the relationship. Let's have the sales conversation when there is a priority to do something about it. So on one side, you've got that mechanical and consistent part. And then you got the other side, which people do enjoy doing, which is the content creation, the authority building. But they do it to avoid the connection. Yeah. And so I say, yes, we need to do this, but as long as you're doing those connections, you get to do this thing called raspberry creation. And the idea of a raspberry, it's got nothing to do with lingerie. It's all about smashing raspberries and blueberries together. Now, bear with me. I've got a very, very short story.
That sounds good.
All right. So I like berries. I like eating berries. And often I'll get a number of punnets, and we'll put them around and we'll eat them. And I'm not calling it a berry party, but it's kind of like a berry party. Now, funnily enough, in Melbourne, Australia, where I live, every second punnet of blueberries I get is sour. Now, I don't know why. I haven't looked into the why. But what I did is I've been throwing out these blueberries when they've been sour, and I don't like doing that. I'm a person who enjoys sustainability. I don't like waste. Anyway, so one day I pick up a blueberry. Sour again. Now, instead of throwing it out, I do something different. I pick it up and I put it inside a raspberry. Gary, I know what you think. Genius, right? Anyway, I try this combination, and it is a flavor I've never had before. It's amazing. I'm like, I am a genius. I shall call it the raspberry. And so I race online, being in branding. I look at, has this been trademarked? Can I do something with this? And I look, and yes, these things exist. Some poor sod is actually putting blueberries inside raspberries, putting them into punnets and sending them to grocery stores. And for some reason, Justin Timberlake is the spokesperson for the raspberry. I don't know what that's all about, but he is. And then everything in my life becomes an analogy for business. It's just the way it is because of the teaching I do. And I've realized, sometimes my service, sometimes my business, sometimes the thing that people have to do with me is a little bit sour. Sometimes people don't like marketing. Sometimes people don't like sales. Sometimes they don't like the lawyer, the doctor, the accountant. But what I get to do in my business is I get to put the yummy raspberry, the yummy goodness, which is me, and wrap it around the thing that I do and create some flavor that they've never had before, something completely new. And that's the essence of what branding is. And so what you get to do out there in the market is you get to put content out that's engaging people, that's potentially educating people about the problem that you solve. You can put that out into the market, and you get to put the yummy raspberry lens of you, the things you love, the things you love to hate, the experiences that you've got in your past, in your life, and you get to wrap it in that lens. And people will experience the way you solve things in a way that they've never seen before. And again, back to the start, all you need to do is be you.
Yeah. Wow.
And it just becomes so much easier to create unique content, not tell everyone else's stories, not go onto LinkedIn and shoot a video about, I don't know, Apple and Apple's success. It's not about that. It's about the little things that have happened in your life and the analogy of how that solves problems for people in their world.
So it's really about using your story to generate your expertise that you already have in the marketplace.
Yeah, and it creates uniqueness. It creates that moat around the castle. And people do enjoy the content creation. Some people don't, but most people enjoy the content creation side of things. And again, they avoid the connection. So if you're making those connections, if you're bringing them into your world, if you're then creating raspberries, putting that content out into the world, people go, yeah, I like this. If this person asked me, and there's the key, if this person asked me, I may speak to this person about my problems. And why that's a key is because a lot of people are waiting for people to ask them.
Right.
So if you're the business owner, if you're the expert in what you do, every now and then you got to ask people, do they want help?
Yeah, because if you don't ask, not everyone's going to come directly to you.
That's right. That's the old thing. My kids tell me this. If you don't ask, you don't get.
That's right. That's why kids, they don't ask once, they ask multiple times. We can learn lessons.
100%. Yeah, and I have my 3 feisty kids, and they challenge me every day, and it's incredible. I get so many stories from them as well. There's have we got time for Tumi to tell one tiny little one?
Oh, please do.
Yeah, excellent. The again, I like food, and whether if you're listening to this on the podcast version of it, you probably can't see my tummy anyway. It's all good. I like food too much, but I like ice cream. Funnily enough, with ice cream though, I'm very one-eyed. I don't have a very strong variety. I like chocolate ice cream because who wouldn't? It can be any sort of chocolate though. It could be triple choc or double choc or Gary, there's this chocolate ice cream that's got chocolate brownie chunks in it.
Uh-huh.
And it is amazing. Yeah, you see what I'm putting down. All right. So I like that. Right. That's me. I've got blinkers on when I go to the races at the ice cream parlor. Now one day I take my 3 children to the 101 flavors ice cream parlor, and the youngest has never been there before, so she's excited. But the 2 oldest have, and they're very clear. So the oldest, she goes, what do you want? The oldest is like chocolate. And I'm like, well, I'm not saying you're my favorite, but I can understand why you would like chocolate. And, but the second one doesn't like chocolate ice cream, which is confusing for me. It's very confusing, Gary. She likes pink ice cream. So it's not even about flavor for her. For her, it's like, it could be strawberry, it could be bubblegum, it could be raspberry. As long as it's pink, she's happy. Now, the youngest has never been there, and she's at the time when I did this, I think it was 5. So I've clearly been neglecting her for 5 years. But she's only tall enough to just see over the counter, and all she can see is color. If you can imagine all the different colors in the 101 Flavors ice cream shop. And I turned to her and I'm like, what do you want? And she just, eyes got bigger and she pointed and she said, that one. And Gary, it was the green tea sorbet. I don't know what's going on with her. She's very complex. She's got a complex palate. But I got her this green sorbet and she loved it, right? Anyway, analogy from life comes into business. Because if I'd just gone there on my own and just picked up ice cream for the whole family, more than half of them would have been disappointed. And when I'm talking to business owners every day, they are doing that to their customers. They are deciding the digital communication that they prefer, the digital ice cream, if you will, that they like, and they're forcing it down the throats of their clients. They go, I'll talk to you, but I'll only talk to you on LinkedIn. Or I'll talk to you on the flip side, but I'll only talk to you via TikTok. Or, no, I don't go in for that social media stuff, so you'll never find me there. And what I say to those people is you're missing the opportunity to understand what flavors of digital ice cream your clients and your prospects, these ideal people, are actually choosing. And maybe it's worth having a sample. Maybe it's just worth trying a little sample of saying, like, can I communicate well here? Can I use this and engage my right target market? Gary, I went back to that 101 Flavors ice cream shop, and instead of getting the double scoop of chocolate that I normally would, I just got a little sample cup. And I got a sample cup of the green tea sorbet. It was actually pretty good. So, like, people have an opportunity, and you've never, I'm going to channel my inner Brian Tracy. There has never been a better opportunity than right now to engage in communication with people who you will love working with and people who love working with you. So it's no longer just about people who are willing to pay you on time and are not difficult to deal with. You actually get to work with people who thank you, love working with you, share your stories with other people, and ultimately do the work that they need to do to get the successes. And that just gives you a business that you love.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more fun. Really, it's energizing is what it is.
It is.
Because they energize you and you energize them, and it's a reciprocal, versus, we've all had clients that sometimes like, what can I do? You just want to move on from them.
Yeah, and I've had times in my life where I'd get home from work and I wasn't there for my family because I was so exhausted from dealing with clients. I now walk out of a session in my group program and I'm bouncing off the walls. They've literally fed me energy, and it's amazing the difference that makes. Yeah, it changes everything. And especially in the line for anyone that's in business is your clients that really energizes you, just makes a big difference in what you're going to bring to the table too, because then you create better content because you're creating it for people that is your tribe, is your expertise that you really want to attract. And I think that's what's so important there. So tell me, how do you continue to stay relevant though? And you've changed over the years and done a lot of different things that I mentioned in your bio, but how do you stay relevant in the, areas and space that you want to really have there so you really attract those clients you want? And you've done a lot of different things with hosting your marketing report podcast and, professional speaker, you do the speaking. So how do you kind of put that together for yourself and take that for our journey of, the people that you're speaking to, that's business owners out there, that they can make that continued for themselves? And not everyone's going to do the things that I've done or the things that I continue to do because and it might lead into one of your questions towards the end, but like early days, I decided to say yes to things. And by saying yes to things, I found myself in situations where I just had an option to be courageous and step into the fear or just step away and not do it. Now, not everyone's going to do that. I get it. But there's some very easy steps that you can do to stay relevant to answer your question. And the first one is be in constant communication with your clients. And when I say clients, I don't think about the ones I'm working with just now. I think about the ones I'm working with in the future. I think about the people who are in my target pool. I actually think of them as clients now. It's just a case of whether we're doing a project at the moment or not. And so one of the mechanisms I use for that, I call the lead barrel, which is the idea of creating a place that you can invite people to. Now, that could be anything from a group, a club, a Facebook group, a meetup, an association. There are so many different things. And I had a little cheat sheet somewhere if anyone's interested, that it has all these different lead barrels in it. But the definition of the lead barrel is a place where you can have a conversation with many people at once. And so a recommendation to a lot of my clients is to actually create these lead barrels in your world so that every single month you're having an open conversation. You're not doing the teaching, you're not doing training, you're not doing asking, you're actually doing listening, which is facilitating some form of conversation where you get to listen to what are the challenges and opportunities in your space. And funnily enough, when you do that, people tell you. I had one of my clients working in the L&D space, the learning and development space in corporate land. And she, incredible at what she does, but hadn't really worked with learning and development managers before. And so she created this forum for them to come and just talk about what's happening. And they literally told her the name of her next programs. There was a challenge that they were having about going from what's called mate to manager. Like you're a friend with the colleagues around you, then you get put into a management position. How do you go and remain friends in a way to have good working relationships, but still but become the boss? How do you go from mate to manager? And she didn't come up with that phrase. They told her that phrase. And she goes, oh, that's great. I mean, that fits in exactly what I'm doing. And so then she had conversations with these people after and go, well, I'm developing a made to manager program. That's amazing. That's exactly what I need. And so they told her the answers. And so over the years, that's one of the things I've done a lot of is developing a way to stay relevant. And so whether it be that, whether it be industry benchmark surveys, whether it be putting on events, whether it be one of the things that I do is I'm engaged with an advisory program here in Australia where we're helping people who are struggling a bit. And I don't get a lot of money for it, but what I do is I stay in touch with what's happening in the market. And so, people come in, they spend an hour with me, they talk about the challenge that they've got. And, you do about 50 to 100 of these, and you're very, very clear about what's happening in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. It gives you great information. And then you can key off of that. You understand the problem so much better. Well, great conversation. I think I could go on forever, Russell, but it's coming up on that time. So before we go there, you said that you would share with the audience. You've kind of got something that you put together for the Charge podcast listeners. So would you share that at this time?
Yeah. Probably the best thing is if you go to russellpearsonprograms.com, hopefully you can put that in the show notes, but Russell's spelt the correct way, SSL. And you can find me on social media and all sorts. But if you go to russellpearsonprograms.com, what you'll find is Better Clients Fast. It's a little workbook that I put together that talks through a lot of the things we discussed today, which is it's everything from how to be that superhero for your prospects and clients by sharing the things that are within you. It talks about how to identify people's symptoms, not just their problems, so you can actually get in a conversation with them before they're ready, which means that you're the first cab off the rank, and a bunch of other things that are going to help you get clients fast.
Yeah. And we'll have that in show notes at chargepodcast.com, because we know our audience is not probably just sitting there waiting to write down the information. Instead, they're active. They're doing something very active at this time. So we will have that in chargepodcast.com. So check that out, and we'll have Russell's website in there. Well, Russell, before I let you go, I ask every guest the same two questions at the end. They're kind of my recharge round questions, I call them. The first one is charge. Of course, that's the podcast name, but it's a mantra for me. It's create habits around real goals every day. Mm-hmm. What habit do you think's led to success in your life?
The thing that I said before has really been the habit, which is to say yes. Because I've been scared of so many things in my life. Like I nearly fainted the first time I spoke professionally. The first time I stepped up on stage, not even spoke professionally, but spoke for my business, right? And saying yes to those things and doing them anyway has just been amazing. So leaning into the fear where that first time where I nearly fainted, I call it the Charlie Browns. There's a thing, Charlie Brown, the teacher at the front of the room sounds like this. Wah, 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 wah. I started hearing my own voice. It sounded like that. But after I finished that, no one noticed. And I had 20 businesses come and say, oh, I want to know more about how you can help me. And then I realized, oh, wow, there's the way forward. So saying yes to things was definitely it early days. And then once I had too much opportunity, it was getting clear about what I wanted.
Yes. Good. Well, that last question is, we all in life probably would like to have a do-over. We don't get those, but what's that do-over if you had one, that magic genie came out of the bottle and gave you that one wish? What would it be for you?
If let's imagine for a second that I can't go back to being a child with all the information I have in my own head and go back in time and know where to put stock prices and things. Let's put that to the side. Yes. The thing would be something I've learned only probably in the last 5 or 6 years, which is that I can actually have anything I want. And I do not have to say, but I have to give up something else. So to have this, I have to lose that. That was my mentality for so many decades. And now I understand that I can actually have what I want. And so it's amazing what a change that's made to my life.
That is a great one, especially with our audience members. A lot of them are business owners, to realize that sometimes they get so much into the grind that they think that's going to be the rest of it. Instead, they decide to make some of them pivots, find those right clients that we've talked about that energizes them. They can have what they want with that, but at the same time, serve those individuals. What a great message, Russell. Thanks for sharing that. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having me here. Well, we're glad to have you, and I can't wait to be able to share this with the audience members and stuff. And remember, go to russellpearson.com. We'll have that all in show notes for you to be able to check out that information that he shared with us. So make sure you grab a hold of his information and get that download, because I know it's going to make a difference in your business. And Russell, I really thank you for coming on the Charge podcast today. Thanks, Gary. It's been a lot of fun. Chargers, now I'm going to tell you the action I'm going to tell you is I'm going to give you the last statement that you made. I made several notes, but I think that's one of the big ones that's there. You can have anything that you want, but you have to decide what it is first. So going back to what he shared as, who are those ideal clients and who are those customers that you want to attract each and every day? So I hope you take a listen to this. Please do me a favor, share this with 3 other of your business associates or business owners that you know, because they're trying to figure out this same thing for themselves, and you can help them in that process. So if you would do that, I'd truly appreciate it. Chargers, we'll look to have you back next week with another great guest. Come join us again. And remember, charge, create habits around real goals every day. Make it a great day. Thanks for joining us.
This podcast is ended, but your life doesn't just stop. To continue your inspiring journey, head over to chargepodcast.com and access all the tools and resources mentioned on today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing with somebody who may also benefit from the advice provided. That's chargepodcast.com. Until next time, charge in business and life.